New York City is exploding with refugees, especially from South America. Some of them came in buses from the Republican states on the border with Mexico, as an act of protest against the Biden regime. A lot of hotels turned into refugee centers, and even that is not enough sometimes. Our reporter Yuna Leifson met the refugees and the people who are helping them. We bring you the article that she made along with Shiran Meirson.
Humanitarian crisis all tied to immigration.
Since forever, the city of New York has been a city of immigrants, which attracts people from all over the world who are eager to turn America into their homeland. However, during the last year, the immigration, especially from South America, had brought the city of Shelter into a huge crisis.
Anger is building in communities all across the city over the migrant crisis.
The mayor of New York City is sounding the alarm, saying the cost of caring for migrants is pushing America's largest city to the brink.
In the city of New York, according to the law, it is necessary to provide shelter to anyone who needs a place to stay or at least to spend the night in. But along with the migration wave, there are no beds left in the shelters, and more than 100 hotels were converted into shelters for immigrants. This hotel, which is behind me, Hotel Roosevelt, came to the news in the last weeks because of these photos. Refugees outside of the hotel for hours, sometimes even days, who came here because people told them that there might be a place for them. There wasn't any place available. It is one of the only hotels in Manhattan which provides accommodation for refugees, and this is why we saw these photos that brought up again the topic of the heavy refugee crisis which is taking place now in New York City. In Queens' Mayflower Hotel, which was recently opened, there is still the National Guard who helps with the registration and operation. Danny came here from Venezuela after a 5-month journey, together with a baby which was 3 months old when she embarked on the journey and a 2-year-old child, leaving behind 3 more kids with her mother. I passed through 8 countries in order to come here, because of the economy in our country. Here you can find the opportunity to work for your family and your children. The Israeli Early Starters organization, which operates educational frameworks for refugee children all over the world, has opened its first pilot in such a hotel, providing education for young children. When we were told that we are wanted in New York to open a safe space for children, we said, "What? But we work in places on which disaster took place." We didn't really understand why we were needed here, but when we came here, we understood that there is actually a very big necessity. In this hotel there are 400 people, of which 200 are children, and a lot of them are lacking any solution to their situation. This is the safe space that we had opened just a month ago. There are 25 children here today. There is a lot of space for them to play, to create, to express themselves, and to come together. The mothers are undergoing training to become caretakers in the kindergarten. Inside the shelter hotels, they are given everything they need to try to live their new life in New York City, to get a work permit and to submit a refugee claim. The immigration police do not come here.
What we do here is we provide all resources from housing to food, clothing, education, healthcare to all migrant families.
You've been in this field for 15 years. Have you seen
Nothing like this before, I have to be honest, right? This is all new for all of us, including the state.
New York's problem begins far away, especially on the border between Texas and Mexico.
Hundreds of migrants crossed the border in a matter of hours. Parents tiptoeing through the river, children in tow, praying upon arrival.
The infiltration through the south border of the United States is a problem which lasts for years and became much bigger lately. Lots of the people are going through a long journey in the jungle, crossing rivers until they finally get into the United States. We went by foot for months, days, weeks. Hard. Between Colombia and Panama, we walked through the rainforests. 3 days in the rainforest. We slept there, in plain nature, without food, and thanks to life, we went out of there. We came to Panama, and we managed to continue the journey. The idea was coming here, to the north. When they arrive, they are being picked up by the immigration police. Their passports are taken and they get a temporary ID number. Southern states, such as Texas and Florida, have become those who are hurt the most. Without any welfare system which could provide for all the immigrants, they are simply not being taken care of.
You see them all in the sidewalks everywhere. It's unsafe for them. It's unsafe for the people.
I think they need to distribute some of the people because El Paso is already overwhelmed with so many people.
As an act of political protest against the White House and its border policy, the Republican governors of Texas and Florida are sending the immigrants in buses to the Democratic states in the Northeast and especially to New York. To some of them, they even brought flight tickets. This is how, during the last year, 100,000 refugees had come to the Big Apple. I've never seen anything like what we see today. Every day, dozens and hundreds of people are entering. The city has made a huge effort. This shelter that I operate was opened exactly for this task, and a lot more were being opened for the same reason. Every week, more than 1,000 immigrants come to New York City's Central Station. The mayor, as well, is warning by saying that the city is facing collapse.
This issue will destroy New York City.
In order to deal with the sharp jump, New York even made a tent complex outside of Manhattan to house people, and the inhabitants are tired of it.
We're all for legal migration, and we all have come from somewhere at some point, but this is unacceptable.
The problem is that this is an inappropriate location. They're putting 1,000 unvetted adult males in a cot, rusted fences, no shopping, no transportation, nothing to do.
The masses of people who come are added to the 10,000s of homeless people who need to be taken care of as well. That means that more resources are needed, and the city will not have any choice but to put it on the taxpayers. In Texas, there is no form of treatment for it. In Arizona, there is no treatment as well. There exists no system of shelters. There are no options for these people. If only we were able to open shelter systems or some kind of an organized system in these states and spread it all equally. That is, of course, some sort of an innocent ideal. But it doesn't make any sense if everything were to be only New York's problem. The city's hardship has turned into a political crisis between the mayor, the governor of New York, and the White House, concerning the requests for budget assistance in order to deal with the problem. The welfare organizations, which are used to handling tens of thousands of homeless people in New York, are now turning to deal with this new population, which is now in crisis of their own.
This has been overwhelming for the city in many ways, for the school systems, for the systems that serve people who are unhoused. One thing that we hope that there would be collaboration. I know that New York City is an asylum, but maybe there are other cities, other communities.
We have been to so many countries in which we were treated badly, on which I felt very bad. I felt as though I was inferior. I felt lots of things as an immigrant, but actually here in New York, I feel really good. And now, despite not obtaining a flight ticket or a bus, the immigrants are finding the way to New York by themselves. They know that here, each person can find a solution to his or her problems and make a living, even if the money will be gained illegally. Everyone wants to reach the city in which the Statue of Liberty symbolizes its being a city of refuge and shelter for generations, but is also right now in the limit of its ability.